This is a fan project. All material used are properties of their respective owners. I claim no ownership. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you and enjoy the video. Hi everyone, Rasmus here, and this video will be another Toku video. This video will be a review for the latest Sentai that has just ended, and it'll be a review of Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger, or as I like to call it, Keek. So yeah, Ohsama Sentai King-Ohger just ended like 2 weeks ago, and there's a lot to talk about. I have notes, copious amount of notes, like what, few pages of my notes since the series started. And yeah, I'll try to keep this video as short as possible, if possible. So yeah, let's just get into the review, shall we? So this series is very, very experimental, and it does a lot of things differently. For example, this series is the first TV show in Toku, or I guess TV in general, to use the volume set. The set that was used for like the Star Wars Mandalorian series. And they did really well on how they implemented, on how they used it. They are able to put some vastly different landscape, and it actually enhances the storytelling. Let's talk. This is the first series to implement a 10 mech as the base mech for the series. The base King-Ohger has 10 mechs. As Kuwagara, Kamakiri, Tonbo, Papillon, Hachi, 2 Kumos, 2 spiders, and 2 ladybugs, and an ant. And this series is also the first series to have a main purple as part of the main team. Not violet, purple, in the form of Papillon Ohger. Let's move on to the suits and musics, and after that, probably the music, the OP. This show also has a lack of ending theme, which is... So yeah, let's talk about the suits, and I'll put the suits right here. Just put them in a group shot. So yeah, this suit is the first full bug team. Like we have like Kuwagara or a Kabuto Beetle in few Sentais like Beat Stag and the Go Riders. But this is the first Sentai to have a full bug theme in the series. Like all of them are bug theme, and they implemented this so well, very well. The design of the suits, like the coloring choices, the gloss and matte color on each suits, with the side capes, the side pauldron capes, are nice, are very nice additions. And the bugs, their bug type showing on their visors. And then Jeremy, the 6th Ranger, having a slightly different design with the waistcoat instead of the cape, which is a nice addition. And also, let's talk about that transformation item, the Ohger Caliber and the I forgot Jeremy's transformation item, the Spider Dagger. I like it. It's just a plain sword and a dagger. It's just a plain sword with a lot of buttons, and it's very simple. Also, there's the Ohger Caliber 0 that Rackless use. It's just a toned down version, just in gold. And yeah, that's there's not a lot of Rangers in this team, but let's talk move on to the music. This music is great. This music is so great. The opening, ZENRYOKU, there's no mention of the team name anywhere in it. It's the title song is ZENRYOKU King, or Full Power King, I think, yeah, in translation. There's no mention of the word King-Ohger anywhere in it. And I like it. And if the theme feels really great, the visuals of the opening also great. It does well when it's played in fights, but yeah, there are some musics that does not need the opening theme because there's a lot of good themes and music in this series, most notably other than the OP, Inferno, which is Gira's theme, which is so fucking hype. And then there's Jeremy's theme. There's another notable theme in the show. I mean, all the musics are great in the show are great. This series is firing on all cylinders, basically. Oh yeah, this series is the first. Again, this series is quite or very much experimental. Other than the soundstage they use, the team dynamics. This is the first one to have a non-binary team member in the form of Rita, and they implemented the non-binary aspects of it actually very well, like really well, because I'll get to the part where on the characters, Rita's a judge, so to prevent bias, even gender bias, I'm gonna they took out the gender roles out of it, so they can't not have any gender bias to the verdict. This series is the first series in Sentai, I think, to have a mid-season time skip. Like, the season is split into two distinctly different arcs. Like, there's an Act 1, like Arc 1 and Arc 2, where the Arc 1 is probably the most Sentai of the show, the most generally familiar Sentai thing of the show. And the second part is just, that's where it gets peak. Like, it's peak. It's already good from the first part, from the first arc, and then it gets even better as the second arc starts and continues on. King-Ohger was trending. King-Ohger was trending a lot on Twitter and social media in Japan. And Dawn Brothers was also trending at the time, but damn, this show's scope of popularity is something else. Is very something else. And also, just a bit of a reference, I don't know if it's intentional or not, because this is how just how I see it. This show feels very much, and there's a lot of similarities going on in this shows. This show's very, very Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, like up to the splitting of the arcs, and in the villains themselves. Because I'm just gonna put a bit of slight spoilers in the video. The first arc is basically the Beastman arc. In this instance, the villains of the show for the first arc are mostly the Bugnarok. And then going to the second arc, the threat level is vastly increased, and they change it into basically the anti-spiral. And yeah, even the robot in the end, basically they went Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann on the mech fight in the end. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about this arc by arc. I'm gonna talk about the first arc, because I mean, the first arc basically introduced us to the main 6, not 5, 6, because Jeremy, the Sixth Ranger, is so integrated to the main story. He feels like already part of the team as just, I think, 2 episodes in, he feels like already feels like part of the team because he was the narrator. He's basically a narrator of the story. And every time the opening shows up and like every time there's a narration in the series from the beginning, it was Jeremy actually. They integrated that part so well. So well. Let's get to the story of the series. The first part, the Act 1, the first arc. So this series is basically like an epic fantasy, high fantasy, or like high sci-fi fantasy because one of the nation is basically a cyberpunk nation. And this series is set in a different Earth. Like this Earth, their Earth is called Chikyu, and the translation of it is just Terra. And then later on, there's another Earth just called Earth. This world is split into 5 kingdoms. The kingdom of Shugodam, led by the current reigning king is Raklis Husty. And there's another part where the volume stage is implemented so well because because of the volume stage set, they're able to distinctly differentiate each kingdom. So Shugodam is very much a steampunky industrial nation. Like there's a lot of like it's very steampunky, a Victorian steampunky vibe to it. Whereas the second kingdom, Enkosopa, is very much a modern cyberpunk-ish town. And then the third kingdom, Ishabana, is kind of like there's a lot of windmills, floral, so like Swiss or Holland. And the fourth kingdom, Gokhan, which is just a freezing ice landscape, just one kingdom, and then the rest of it is a prison. And then the final kingdom so far is Tofu, where it mostly looks like a vast rice field surrounding a more of a feudal Sengoku Japan village kingdom. So the story starts with Raklis, the current king of Shugodam, being a dick and trying to assert power so that all the nations can basically bow to him so that he can lead the charge to the upcoming looming threat of the Bugnarok. The Bugnarok is led by their leader, Death Narok III, and is accompanied by their grand, I don't know if say aide or vizier. Okay, let's go with vizier. Kamajim. He's basically being a dick and tries to force the other kingdoms to submit to his rule so that he can basically start World War 1, 2, or 3 at this point. I think it's 2 because before there was a conflict with the Bugnarok before, but by the previous kings, but then it was quenched, and now they're back. So I think there's start World War 2, and obviously the other kings, the other rulers, are not having any of it. It's not taking a shit, and basically says no. But cue the Bugnarok returning just as the conference begins, and Raklis basically is not doing anything to save the people and just trying to set an example because if you don't help, people will die, and forcing the other king's hand. Our main point of view character for most of this series is Gira, who is an orphan that's playing the role of who likes playing the role of a bad king or tyrant king, to be precise. and he sees the chaos the Bugnaroks are doing and tries to plead with Rackless to help the people, but obviously Rackless refuses. And something breaks in Gira and forces him to take action, and so that he steals the Ohger caliber, the thing that can transform them into King Ohgers, and uses it to transform and awaken the Shu God in Shugodam, because all the nation have their own Shu gods. Enkosopa has Tombo, Ishibana has Kamakiri, Gokan has Papillon, and Tofu has Hachi. And Shugodam has Kuwagata. But the problem is, Kuwagata was dormant from the last battle, has been dormant from the last battle, and cannot be awakened, while the others are already awake, are already sentient and awake. But Gira somehow managed to awaken God Kuwagata. And in that chaos, he actually managed to combine all of them into King Ohger alone and push out the Bugnarok threat at the moment. And then he gets kidnapped by. Okay, before getting to it, I'm going to tell about the rulers of each other countries. So Enkosopa is led by the president Yanma Gast, who the kingdom is more focused on technology and modernization more than ever. The third kingdom is ruled by a queen, Himeno Ran. The nation specializes in beauty and actual medical. And medical is very good Medicare. Is full of doctors and very healthy nation. The fourth kingdom is Gokan, led by the supreme judge Rita Ganishka. And this is the one that is non-binary. And they are the supreme judge of this nation, and all law, legislative law, any verdict goes through them. And this nation is mostly the law capital of the world, of this world. And then we move on to the last kingdom for now, Tofu, led by the I'm not. Does he call himself a shogun or daimyo? But okay, I'm just gonna refer to him as a king. Kaguragi Deboski, which is probably my second favorite character of the series. Yeah, my second favorite character of the series. He's very theatrical. He's very kabuki. He's very over the top. He's a schemer. He's playing 40 chess every time. And this nation specializes in agriculture, in food and agriculture. So yeah, after Gira stops the Bugnarok threat at the moment, he gets kidnapped by Yanma. And that was the first episode. And a lot of things happened in the first episode. Like, funny thing, people actually started to tweet to the production team because of how good the first episode looked on the volume set, using a volume set, and they're concerned about the budget. And then the series director or the series producers tweet back and they, don't worry about the budget. Don't worry. We got it. We got it. And so far, yeah. And they got it. They used their budget well in the series. Bit of tangent. I like to talk about the cast itself. Everyone of the show is perfectly cast. Everyone of the show is well casted. I am not surprised as if after this, all of their careers started booming. Especially, not especially, all of them actually. In particular, I think, Rita's actress, Gira's actor, and Jeremy's actor. because Rackless, I think, already did stuff beforehand. But yeah, I do still think he's also going to be booming after this. All of them are. Not gonna lie, all of them are. They work each other so well. Also, Gira is pretty dumb. Like, he plays the Tyrant King act all the time during this first arc. It's his shtick. He tries to sound off like a bad guy, but he's trying to do a good thing. And the other rulers aren't taking his shit. He isn't being taken seriously by the other kings, by the other rulers. And he's quite dumb. There's a lot of moment when he tries to get a brain blast moment, because every ruler in this show during the first arc is trying to use Gira for their own purposes of taking down Rackless, because Rackless is being a dick, even at one point trying to align himself with the Ragnarok to take out the other rulers. And they are trying to use Gira. And the rulers, the King-Ohgers, are trying to use Gira to their advantage, their own way, their own separate way. So everyone is playing chess, or everyone is playing checkers. Kaguragi is playing 4D chess, while Gira is basically playing shoots and ladders, but always keep getting double sixes. He is the wild card of this arc, of everyone's plan. So the first arc is mostly focused on the Shu gods, on the history, on the Shu gods, on the kingdom in general, and the Shu gods. And most of the first few episodes is basically Gira being kidnapped and being transported from kingdom to kingdom. The first few episodes introduce them to each ruler's respective retainer. I forgot most of the names, so let's. Okay, Yanma's retainer is what? Shirokai, I think. Yeah, Shirokai. She's a great character. All of the retainers are all great, though. All of them are great. Yanma has Shirokai, and most of Yanma's gang mostly dress like a biker gang, like a cyberpunk biker gang. Himeno's retainer is Sebastian, her loyal butler. Rita's retainer is Morphonia, and Kaguragi's retainer, I forgot his name, but he looks like Kuroko from Shinkenger. I forgot his name, but he's badass. He's quite cool. This arc is the most Sentai thing in this show. So yeah, most of the mech fight is in this arc. Yeah. So the story goes on, and then Rackless duels Gira to death, because Rackless is also put a bounty on Gira because he stole the Oja Caliber, and Rackless claims he stole the Oja Caliber and got Quagata. But that's actually impossible by logic, because the Oja Caliber was made by Yanma, copying the Oja Caliber 0 that Rackless had. The Oja Caliber is biolocked to the wielders, so that only royal blood, anyone of royal blood, of anyone who's designated a king or has royal blood, can use it. So the fact that Gira can use this means that Gira has royal blood. Another strange thing is Gira also can communicate, like not just control, but communicate with the Shu gods, something that the other kings cannot do. So the conflict goes on, and they got, again, this is the most Sentai part of it. They got power-ups, they got all the things. And then the Six Ranger shows up. And this character is probably, if not one, or probably the best Sixth Ranger of Sentai so far. Jeremy Braceri. Jeremy Braceri. He's the best. He's a 2,000-year-old, still looking at, he's a 2,000-year-old guy who's been asleep for 1,000 years. I think 1,000 or 500 years. And he is a child of two worlds. He is a child of a hidden king. There was supposed to be a sixth kingdom, but sixth ruler, but it got washed from history because he did a taboo, which is marry a Bugger woman and have a kid. And that kid is Jeremy. We'll talk about the mom later. He has his own transformation and own shoe god, the god tarantula, and his own transformation item, the dagger, and the Venom X shooter. And he's basically the story chronicler of this series from the start. All the history of the world was, I think, written by him. Yeah, I think it was written by him. And then Rackless tries to duel Gira again, but this time Gira wins because he has. They also obtain the crown of Shugodam, that is used as the power up, the King-Ohger power up, which Rackless can also use as transform into his own King-Ohger using Ohger Caliber 0, the Ohsama, and then upgrade using the crown into King-Ohger, which I'll put the image here. Both of them looks nice. I mean, yeah, Gira is gold and Rackless has more breakage in his color because the undersuit is more gray. Oh, yeah, also, Rackless being the he's not a 6. He's more like an extra ranger. He's a gray ranger, not a silver, but gray. So a lot of things happen in the first. Things happen in the first arc, leading to the duel. That duel ends up. So everyone's scheming. Everyone's trying to double cross, scheme, one up each other. Rackless is broadcasting Gira's crime to the world, making him a person of interest. But then during the final duel at the time, Gira and the others expose Rackless's crime for the world to see. And this, and again, with the coupled with the information now that is revealed, Gira is actually Rackless's brother. Gira takes over Rackless's throne as the new king. And now Gira has his own retainer in the form of Duga, who was Rackless's retainer at the time. Rackless has 2 retainer, Duga and Boshmar, but Boshmar ends up being Kamajim in disguise, which Rackless doesn't even know. We'll get to Kamajim later on. So at this point, ZENRYOKU actually pulls I don't know if Frieza. I don't know if Frieza, but he pulls the Nihilist card. So basically, if he cannot have GQ, nobody can have GQ. So he pulls all the stops and decides to destroy GQ by summoning Digork, some high general Ragnarok monster. And because of that, they need to awaken. This is a great moment because this is the first time Gira ends up being a king. They try to activate the castle's mechanism. The castle of Shugodam is actually revealed to be a giant robot. the god Caucasus robot, the god Caucasus shoe god, to be exact, that can turn into a robot. And Gear tries to use it, which is hilarious because the moment he starts the mechanism, all of the gears inside, which this is a scene that I like. All of the gears inside the cockpit is basically just thrown them. Every gear just falls because it hasn't been used for that long. All of the mechanisms are rusted. So then Gira pleads in his Tyrant King way, but it's more like he ordered them, commanded them, the people of all the world, to get all the scraps, all the metals they can find for them to make replacement gears. And they even saying that in the Tyrant persona that the people are the people are gears, which did not sit so well for most of them. And that's the thing, because Gear is so stuck in the Tyrant King persona, he's acting like a Tyrant King. He can't turn it off when he actually becomes king, and he actually got called out on it. And this arc, like the last few parts of Act 1, like 2 or 3 during the God Caucasus arc, is Gira growing from playing a Tyrant King into an actual king, which he ends up finding his groove as a good king later on, because he tries to put on the facade one last time after that, and he changed his tone, and people gather around him. But then Deathnrock tries to deal with it himself, and it gets revealed that Jeremy is actually Deathnrock's cousin. Jeremy's full name is Jeremy Ignaro Braseri. So yeah, they're related, and Jeremy doesn't want conflict. Basically, doesn't want conflict between the Bugnarok and the humans. He wants them to basically get along, and doesn't want Bugnarok to die, and even did some shady things so that Deathnrock doesn't get killed. But even tries to talk to Deathnrock, but it fails. So then he had to duel Deathnrock, but not to death. When Deathnrock was about to change, change his ways, but see another way of ruling, he gets killed by Comet Jim. He gets stabbed. Like, you see Jeremy cradling him, and then Comet Jim weapon, which is like a nail, like a tack, like a long tack, just stabs Deathnrock in the chest and kills him. And Comet Jim is revealed to have orchestrated the whole shit. He was posing Boshamar for quite a while, since Rakles was a kid. And then Deathnrock dies, and Jeremy takes over the Bugnarok Emperor, changing the kingdom into the kingdom of in between. And he hopes to create peace between humans and Bugnarok. So, continuing on to this part actually connects to the movie. Like, I don't know, when's the last time a Sentai movie is important to the main series? Like, I don't know, I forgot. When was the last time? But comment below. Remind me again. When's the last time a Sentai movie it was important to the series? A summer Sentai movie is important. And this movie is about basically Gira's coronation as king. And to do that, a friend from Gira's orphanage, who left beforehand, is revealed to be the priestess of the land of the dead, Hakabaka. And she, named Devonica, transport Gira and the other kings into the land of the dead, so that Gira can meet with the first king of Shugotam, Rainiel Husty. This movie is very, very important because other than setting up Hakabaka, Devonica, Rainiel, this movie also shows us two characters that will be shown in Arc 2. One of those is Iroki, and in the end, it teased of the main villain of the second arc, Dugded. I'm not going to pronounce his full name because that's just confusing. Dugded. Yeah, I'm just going to call him Dugded. So yeah, the movie sets a lot of things for the second arc. After the coronation and the death of Death and Rock, and then the movie where Gira finally gets crowned into the. Or I think what? Wait, I forgot if the movie takes place after 25 or between 24 and 25, but you get the point. So after all of that, we get a time skip. Our first like mid-season time skip in Sentai. They've never done this. They did a time skip either at the end for the epilogue or the start for Live Man. If I remember correctly, Live Man did a time skip after the two sibling dies so that they can develop the Live Man suits. So yeah, this is the first time skip in Sentai mid-season. So like it's very much like a shonen comic, like Naruto time skip. It's a 2-year time skip. And it starts quite funny. Gira's already a king in his own right, is ruling very well, quite well. He's a good king. He's a kind-hearted king. He mostly dropped the Tyrant King persona, the act of Tyrant King. And Jeremy's trying to rebuild the kingdom of in between, the Bugnarok kingdom. I'm just going to call it the Bugnarok kingdom. Because most of the Bugnarok either died mostly because caught in the war between Death and Rock and the King Ogres. Oh, yeah. Also, before that, Jeremy, because he's a king now, he now has a retainer. He has a retainer now who is the best, the goodest boy possible in the form of Garojime. Over here. Garojime. He's the best boy. He's such a good boy. I don't know if he died during the first introduction, but he came back and he became the best boy of the series. He's the goodest boy. He's so pure. And he has this like voice, so soft, so silky, soft voice. I've heard someone say he sounds like him from Powerpuff Girls. Him's like the template of his voice. And so yeah, the funny thing of the start of this arc was the king, other than Gira and Jeremy, which they're being good in their own right. The other kings, the other rulers, done goofed, and they're all in prison. And it's not that they're in prison for 2 years. No, they're only in prison for like a week or so. Have only been in prison for like a week. But the reason they got in there for the first place were stupid. So Yanma got arrested for making a supercomputer, and I think it was a dangerous supercomputer. Yeah, so he got arrested. Himeno got arrested for causing a forest fire, a wildfire, using fireworks during her celebration. Kaguragi got arrested, got in prison because he created a dangerous farming tool. An automated tiller, I think, that was dangerous and it's causing injuries. But Rita the judge, they got arrested for breaking labor laws. And to elaborate on that, Rita never gets time off. Rita never takes time off. So Morphonia basically sentenced them to prison because they didn't took their court mandated time off. Rita just needs a break. They're a good bean. All of them are good beans, but Rita's to me, Rita's like the epitome. They are so precious. I will not let anything happen to them. I will kill everyone in this room, and then myself if anything happens to them. That's how I feel about Rita. They're another best character. Kaguragi is my second. I'll tell you about the first later in this arc. And in the meantime, the retainers took over. So yeah, Sebastian got fat in a fat suit. Yeah. And the others basically took on boss roles, but Morphonia actually doesn't want to because she doesn't want to work. She doesn't want to work. So this arc is more character focused. This whole series is very serialized. Is very character and plot focused. But this arc is the most character focused of the show. This arc has developments on developments. Everything that was teased in arc 1, everything that was rumored in arc 1 is revealed in this arc. So we got introduced to our main villains in this arc. But I think so far for the whole series, because I'll explain later, we got introduced to Doug Dead and his crew, being the 5 jesters. Doug Dead is the galactic insect lord. So we get introduced to Doug Dead and his crew, and how he debuted was wild, to say the least. So Doug Dead is basically a god, like literal god. So the fact that he just shows up, transports Gira into another place, and then to space, and then says, "Oh yeah, forgot you can't breathe in space. Oh yeah, here's a bubble," and then brings him back. Shows the level of strength that Doug Dead has, and then his crew is no slouch either. This series just jumped from basic like normal Sentai villain. Like Death Arc was good. He's a good villain. He's an interesting villain. And then jump straight into what's the word I'm looking for. Doug Dead's more of a cosmic entity. He's more cosmic horror. He's cosmic horror. His presence is so vast. His presence was so vast. And then it's revealed that Doug Dead was the person behind everything. He caused all of this to happen through one of his jesters. So let's talk about the jesters, shall we? The 5 jesters of Doug Dead. So these jesters are created by Doug Dead because Doug Dead gets bored quite easily because he's a god. He gets bored easily. So he creates jesters to make things, or to create situations that are fun for him. He creates them for his own amusement, basically. The first jester is a returning character from the first arc, Kamejim. And this character is a dick. All of them, Doug Dead and his crew, are all dicks. They're all people you love to hate. And when they get beaten when each of them they get beaten, it feels so cathartic and so earned. So the first jester is Kamijim, who was posing as both Ohsama and Doug Dead's and Death and Rock's vizier, and he orchestrated everything so that the people of Earth, the humans, and the Bugnaroks will do battle. So I think 70%, 70% of the conflict of Act 1 was just Kamijim's scheme, Kamijim's play for Death and Rock, for Doug Dead. So the reason Doug Dead's revealing himself now and the Jesters is he feels that the situation on Earth, since the Bugnarok is now defeated and now becoming a sixth kingdom under Jeremy, he feels that the Earth has gone quite boring and he wants to spice things up. He's bored. He's a dick. So moving on, the second Jester is Goma. So Goma is based off. He's like a ninja. So his power, all of their powers are kind of reality warping, a form of. So Goma can switch aspects of things from their place, their personalities. So that caused a body switch episode. Their personalities, their weapons. So he can switch tangible and intangible things. The third one, who I think is the most hated, Hirabiru. Hirabiru is based off a leech, and she has the power of persuasion. Yeah, she can whisper something in a person's ear, and they will do it. And this power can be broken if they deal significant damage to the Jesters. The fourth Jester is Minongan, who strangely has one of the best Japanese English voice accents. Later on during Rita's episode, that caught me off guard. His voice, he mostly acts like a child. Like, he's like the kid of the group. He acts like very dumb, very kiddish. But in two instances, he gets really different. One instance is during Rita's episode where he actually speaks English, like Japanese English accent. Like good Japanese English accent, which is funny. It took me off guard. And then when something happens to Doug Dead, he became actually more commanding. For a second, I thought he was going to take over. And then the last gesture is hidden at this time, which gets revealed later. So let me explain why the jump from Death and Rock to Doug Dead was so good. It was handled very well. Unlike some other Toku shows who did the same, this series handled it very well because Doug Dead was there from the start. Kamijim was there from the start as Doug Dead's proxy agent, and Doug Dead was there from the beginning. So everything that happened in this story was through Doug Dead's orchestrating the events, through Doug Dead's machinations. And there is hints. There is not subtle. There is like hints, clear hints. Something was afoot. Something was different because in Arc 1, there are mysteries that was set up that was not revealed until Doug Dead shows up. He was there from the beginning. He has his hands all over the problem. He was basically the reason the Bugnarok were there. The Bugnarok was actually from a different planet, but then they moved into Chikyu. And then Doug Dead sent Kamijim in. And back then, the Bugnarok were actually looked like human. They look similar to humans. But because Kamijim did something to them, they look like they are now. and that's because of Doug Dead. Then the conflict that happened between the Buckrock and the humans was because of Doug Dead. And then in Arc 1, there is the event called the Wrath of God. So all the kingdoms were somehow has a swarm of cicada shoe gods, and a lot of things happened during the time that called the Wrath of God moment. So in that time, Gira was actually kidnapped. The time during the Wrath of God happened, Gira is put into the orphanage for reasons. I'm not going to reveal it now. In Kosopa, I forgot what in Kosopa did, but Himeno's kingdom, Ishibana, during the Wrath of God, people are dying. They're stretched thin, and Himeno parents were actually assassinated. They were killed by poison during that time by a hooded figure who commanded shoe gods. For a time, Himeno thought it was Jeremy, but it was revealed that Jeremy was asleep at the moment and was actually put in a museum as a living corpse. He was asleep the whole time. And during the Wrath of God, the previous ruler of Gokon, the previous judge, Karas, went missing, so that she would be later replaced by Rita. Rita had to take over. And in Tofu, during the Wrath of God, all the crops got burned. There was a massive fire. Every crop, every rice till got burned. And their ruler at the time, Iroki, kind of went mad. The people thought she went mad, and they staged a coup so Kaguragi can take over. And all of that happened because of Doug Dead and his jesters. So that's why I feel that this massive jump from Death and Rock to Doug Dead feels very natural. And I like that. This story is incredible. So the first time that the Jester messed with the team was a body swap episode. And it's hilarious. This episode was hilarious. So let's see. Gira gets switched with Jeremy. Kaguragi gets switched with Himeno. And Yama gets switched with Rita. And again, all of these actors were great. Everyone acted, and they weren't dubbed. Like, I thought at first during the body swap episode, they would dub each other's voices. But no, they acted so well like the person they're switched with. It feels uncanny, especially Gira and Jeremy, and Rita and Yanma, and Gira and Jeremy. Yanma's actor screamed so well, like his eyes went into the back of his head, and had to wear a mask because Rita's in him. He's playing as Rita. And Gira and Jeremy's voice are so well in sync that you thought they were dubbed. They were good. All of them were great. So hijinks ensues, and Goma, and all of this was done by Goma. And there was a funny scene during this episode where they had to fight Goma, but they are still in their different bodies. And Rita and Yanma are trying to fire at Goma near point blank across each other. And Goma is like, aren't you both scared you're gonna get hit? And both of them was almost, I'm gonna paraphrase what they said. Both of them basically said, "Fuck you, fuck that. We're gonna hit each other, and that's fine." They're too angry to care. They are both too angry to care. And so the spell is broken, and all of them return to their own bodies. But right after that, Goma switches himself with the retainers, with each of their respective retainers, and their retainers hurt them. And because of and this is caused by Hirbiru. So each retainer basically their respective retainer basically cause a political incident, a political crime for hurting each other's ruler under the influence of Hirbiru. To prevent that, the rulers were willing to take the fall and replace themselves with the retainers. So the retainers were supposed to take over. But Jeremy actually pulls a solid on them and takes the fall. He took the fall. He and Best Boy Girojim took the fall, took upon themselves to take that fall, take that L, so that the facade of them still having infighting can still be maintained in front of Doug Dead. This episode was one, if not the best episode. Not the best. One of the best episodes of the series. Episode, what, 29? Yeah, 29. I think 29, 28. And this, they are nettled as fuck. So here Beer shows up and takes credit for all the shit she does. And they had to beat Jeremy in front of camera, in front of the people, in front of the camera, showing it to the people that Jeremy was the bad guy so that everyone would get along. And the spell broke. So they had time to fight Hirbiru. And Hirbiru shows up looking very smug, I might say. And the King-Ohgers clapped. As Jeremy goes away in exile, the King-Ohgers clap. That slow clap. I'll try to put the scene here. That slow clap. Hirbiru feels that the clap was for her. But no. No. That was for Jeremy. He pulled the performance of his life. And they respected him for it. And they are pissed. That fight went so hard. That fight was amazing. The combat, the fight scenes in this arc was peak. The first time they actually had to fight Goma and then escalate to fighting Hirbiru. God, the intensity, the emotion of that fight, they transform. And Gira just goes slow. He walks. When Gira walks to you, you're in trouble. Slowly, he walks slowly through the team, passing through Yanma, Himeno, Rita, and Kaguragi. They're all ready. And just hit that bitch in. Through the castle, onto the ground. And they proceed to wreck shop. But the problem is, and this fight is amazing again, but the problem is they can never actually they can defeat, break the brainwashing, break the power of the control over the people that the Jesters are doing. But so far, they can never actually defeat the Jesters. They're just that strong. But they're basically gods. And then the fifth Jester shows up. Lodi, played by Garen's actor. Veteran Toku actor. Great actor. Lodi is the person who was behind the Wrath of the Gods. He killed Himeno's parents by using God Scorpion's venom. He then used that venom also to poison Tofu's crops. And then, I'll get to the character later, But then it caused the ruler at the time, Iroki, knowing that it got poisoned, to prevent a political conflict from escalating, she puts it on herself to burn everything. And then facilitates Kaguragi's raise into power. Which I'll get to is probably one of, if not possibly, the best episodes of the series. Which I'll get to later. Oh, Glody is, and also because of this, during the Wrath of God, after he does all of that, he gets judged by Karas, the previous ruler of Gokon. But because he's a cosmic deity and cannot be judged, Karas uses Gokon's power, secret power, to seal herself and Glody forever. Seals both of them together in a remote place. And that incident ends up being the point where Rita has to step up as the new judge, because a judge cannot be impartial. So the act of doing that means that Karas was not fit to be a judge anymore, and Karas made a cover-up story saying that all of this Karas is missing because of their husband. And the husband got falsely accused and got imprisoned. But then everything got cleared up, and the husband got released and went on to find Karas. When he does, he finds the frozen prison of Karas. Kamajim shows up and kills his ass and released Glody from the prison, from the seal, frozen seal, and then kills Karas. So Glody's deal as a jester, Glody's power, he's basically an undead, and he can raise the dead. So this is why in the second arc, there's still a lot of Bugnaroks fighting the King-Ohger, but they're not actually current Bugnaroks. They're dead Bugnaroks who were mindless, that Glody not technically controls. So they're fighting dead people. And again, even at this point, with Glody back, the team cannot necessarily beat them. They can push them back. Like, the only people who actively could, like, the two people who did beat a jester, not kill though, managed to push back was Kaguragi, pushing back Glody, and Rita. Rita's OP. Rita's OP. Rita is the only person of the group, of the team, to 2v1 a jester. And it was in their focus episode, which was the idol episode, which I'll get to. The idol episode. God damn it. That idol episode is so good. Glody can brought people back from dead. And one of his shenanigans was bringing back Karas. But that got handled pretty quickly. That was in Glody's debut. The second part is when Glody brought back Jeremy's mom. So Jeremy's mom died during the Bugnarock conflict trying to protect Jeremy. But Jeremy's mom was actually pretty broken. Jeremy's mom kicks ass. She was the strongest warrior in the Bugnarock. She soloed Daigorg, who the team needed God King-Ohger to beat. And his mom is very I don't know if I have to talk about this, but okay, I'm just gonna talk about this. Jeremy's mom is very ara. She has ara energy. And to the folks that know what ara energy is, you cultured folks, So yeah, Jeremy's mom is very broken and has massive RR energy. And the production team knew about it very much. They knew what they're doing. Wink, wink. They knew that scene from episode 49 needed to happen because of that RR energy. Wink, wink. I am not going to put that scene in here. And that's the last of I'm going to say about Jeremy's mom. I hope. Okay. So one of the last things that the major things that Gloria did was bring back Hiroki, Tofu's previous ruler, and this was probably one of the best, if not the best, episode of the series. This shows how Kaguragi came to be the man that he is now. This episode has a lot of flashbacks showing Kaguragi from the past and the present. He was a green thumb. He was a commoner. And it shows that Hiroki didn't go mad. She wanted to protect her kingdom. She doesn't want any poisoned food, poisoned crops to be distributed and sell to other nations. She wants to protect the people first and foremost in the end. But the people perceived it and Hiroki burning the crops as an act of madness. And Hiroki, before that, grows very fond of Kaguragi. And the people, knowing that, pushed Kaguragi to backstab Hiroki, to basically take the throne from Hiroki. And Hiroki knows it. And this scene, the parallel between the final scene where Hiroki orders Kaguragi to strike her down, but Kaguragi is still green at the moment. In the past, decides not. He can't bring himself to do it. He can't. He then learns a valuable lesson at that moment that a ruler needs to do anything, dirty their hands, walking through mud, backstab, one up other people so that their own people, can thrive. And after that, Hiroki offs herself, but gives the blade to Kaguragi. The people only sees Kaguragi striking down a tyrant, but that's not the real story. Kaguragi didn't do it. Hiroki offs herself. But now in the present, Glody brought back Hiroki. The people was, again, not having, because their perception of Hiroki was bad at the end. Only Kaguragi and Hiroki know what was really going on. And their final scene of Kaguragi actually having the strength now to put Hiroki out of her misery was so perfect. This episode was so good, showing the growth of past Kaguragi into present Kaguragi in just two episodes, or one even? No, two episodes. In 2 episodes, they managed to flesh out Kaguragi into such fascinating character. He was fascinating from the get-go for his backstabbing ways, scheming ways, but now it puts his personality into a different perspective because he needs to do this. And the outcome of that is actually pretty funny because he, I think, is the only one who is immune to Hirobiru's persuasion because he's always bullshitting. He's bullshitting 100% 24/7. That's why he can't be persuaded. he will bullshit himself. But I think, oh yeah, before the Iroki thing, Doug Dead actually showed up and basically went, you know what? You guys should go for a while. You guys are annoying. I'm gonna put you somewhere else, and transport them into a different place. All of them, like this, all 6 into different place. And the place they Doug did transport them into is our Earth, our normal Sentai Earth. And this episode is this episode became 2-parter. I think, but 2.5 part because of things. So this episode, this 2-parter, this crossover, they meet with the Kyoryugers. The Zuden Sentai Kyoryugers are back. And one might think this is just a filler crossover episode. At first, I thought so too, but after rewatching it, and it's clear, actually, pretty clear. This episode is not a filler. This episode has a lot of lore connected into the King-Ohger universe because the people of Shikyu, of Terra, were originally from this Earth, from main Earth. And they went like the time before the Zudenshi were a thing. And during the Zudenshi time, the ancient Zudenshi time, and they traveled to space, searching for a new home on board the god Caucasus. That's how they end up in the ancestors, Rhyniol, end up in Shikyu. And how they met Doug Dead. This crossover episode was fine. I like the Kyoryugers coming back. I'm not particularly fond of the series. It's basically just King and the Rangers. But King is not here. And this comes as one problem to the series, this episode. While not a bad episode per se, there's one major problem that I particularly did not enjoy. And that was Prince Daigoro Kiryu, also known as Prince. And we can see from a mile away, even before the name is revealed as Daigoro Kiryu, is King's son from the future, far future, but before the 100 year after specials. Yeah. And Prince is his actor, is not, I'm sorry, but his actor was not good. He needs some more lessons, and yeah, it really shows. His acting skills are still very flat, and even during his first introduction to the series, it's not good. But luckily, how he complements it, how he covers it up, is he is a stunt actor at first and foremost. Before an actor, the actor for Prince is mostly a stunt actor, so his fights are very theatrical. His fight scenes are good, but when it gets to the story aspect of when he's on speaking lines, where he's acting, where he needs to act, not fight act, it's clearly he needs some work, massive work. And shit, he's going to show up again in the Kyoryuger versus King-Ohger movie again. But good thing is that King is back. Also, Uchi is not in this episode. So King, Uchi, and Kyoryu Violet, I forgot her name. Kyoryu Violet, Uchi, and King is not in this episode. And during this time, it revealed that the people of Chikyu were originally from Earth. And for some reason, during their time there, only Gira can transform. Gira's the only one who can transform into their Ranger forms, into their King-Ohger forms. there's a lot of speculation going on, which actually gets revealed later. It's explained that they need to be near their Shu gods to transform. They need a Shu god soul. They need to be near a Shu god soul to transform, because the Shu god soul are in their Shu gods. But strangely, Kuwagata's soul, Kuwagon, or as Gira names him, Kuwagon, soul is not there. Is not in the cockpit. So people start theorizing this rumor that going on that Gira actually has Kuwagon's soul inside of him, so that he can actually transform. And it confirms to be true later on. So the crossover ends with the Kyoger back into power, and they do a team up. They finally can. The God Caucasus can finally transform into the spaceship mode again and picks them up. During that, the Shu gods are in there, and the rest of the team can now transform. And the episode ends with them going back via God Caucasus via God Caucasus back to GQ. But when they returned, there's actually a bit of a time dilation going on. So the few days they're on GQ, there's actually like a 3 month or 5 month passed in GQ. So during that time, the Jesters have taken over each of their kingdoms. So I think, let me remember this correctly. Hirbir is controlling Enkosopa. Goma is controlling... I think Goma is controlling Gokon. Glody is controlling Tofu. And Kamajimi is controlling Ishabana. And who's controlling Shugotam, you might ask? Guess who's back? Back again. Rackle's back. He's not a friend. Oh god, that's bad. So Rackless is back. He is back, and he is going full Char. He went full Gundam. He went Char. He went in wearing a mask and calling himself Shugo Musk. Wearing a different, blue shirt, blue outfit now. And he is now under Doug Dead's command. So Rackless never actually died. He just went missing. And Rackless is back, and during that time, the people are now subservient to... Doug Dead is now regaled as a god with Rackless, now their ruler. And hates the King-Ohger for leaving them for 5 months, I think. Yeah, and during that time, Iroki got revived by Glody into taking power for Tofu. And then this begins the arc where they need to take back their respective kingdoms. So first part, I think, was Hirbir. Yeah. Yanman needs to take back Enkosopa from Hirbir. That went well. He had to sacrifice the supercomputer top, his supercomputer of the city. But they'll be back. Remade it. But it also shows that during this episode, during each of these episodes, it got a lot of focus to their retainers. So Enkosopa's takeover episode is focused on Shiokara. And Ishabana's episode is focused actually on Sebastian, which, let's talk about Sebastian. This man is not actually old. He's actually 20, in his 20s. And he had to look the part of the butler because Himeno commanded him to. His actual face is so handsome that he wanted to die. So Himeno was like, okay, You don't need to die, but you have to be my brother. So eats dying, I guess. And he shows up in his actual form. Sebastian actually shows up in his actual form in this. And it was hilarious. Tofu is not on. It's not actually focused on the 8, and it's mostly focused on Kaguragi and Iroki, how they become the people they are now. He becomes the people he is now. And the Gokon episode. The Gokon episode. The Idol episode. This episode reels ass. This episode is Rita. So Goma makes the people, the prisoners, the inmates good. So Rita thinks that he doesn't need them anymore as a judge. So he infiltrates Goma. So Goma has the help of Minongan. Minongan and Goma has a ploy for Dugdead to make a idol contest, and Rita is participating in it. And hijinks ensues. Rita's actress is a dancer, a very good dancer, and this episode shows it in strides. But the thing is, everyone of the team, mostly Jeremy, Himeno, Akira, and Morphonia, thinks that there's something going on for Rita to do this, because Rita's not this kind of person. They are trying to find the subtext of the situation. Jeremy tries to come up with a subtext. Himeno tries to come up with a subtext. Kira tries to come up with something that's going on with Rita. But Rita's the best. Rita's just doing Rita's just doing their thing. Rita's doing exactly what they're told to do. They told them to do. They're going to do, which is infiltrate and look for clues. It doesn't matter if they had to play an idol to do it. And this is also the moment where they 2v1 a jester, Minongan and Goma. It is also where Rita actually figures out that there's something inside Minongan, and then they figure out that there is a secret command within the Ohsama caliber and Jeremy's weapon that can let them harness a Shugod's power in their body and their weapons. So they storm Enkosopa. Yanma takes back Enkosopa in this episode. Finally takes it back, because the first attempt they failed. This is the second attempt, and they finally take back Enkosopa, and then gaining their team power-ups. So Kira has a personal power-up in the form of King Kuwagata Ohsama using the crown and the lance. This is the team power-up, and the reason is, and I enjoy I like the reason why Kira can use, and Rackless can use the king form, but the others cannot, because this is the relic from way back when, during Rhyniol's time, and this relic can only be used by a person of royal blood, so royal Shugodam blood. So that explains why only Kira and Rackless can use the crown. So the team now gets their shared power up in the form of Ryoga Ise. So they basically gains the Shugod parts and can be used for combat. So they turn into like their illustration in the opening, where Kuwagata has Kuwagata Ohsama has the pincers, Tombo has the wings, Papillon has the wings, Jeremy has the legs coming out, Tombo has the wings. Kamakiri has the Kamakiri sight on the legs, and Hachi has the Hornet's needle on the ass, which he can use on the arms too. So yeah, they use that power. And this episode was so hype. The combat of this episode, I mean, there's a lot of shaky cam in this episode, but I didn't mind because the fight was just fucking amazing. And they went ham on this episode. Everyone did their thing. It was the hype of shit. And they managed to use this power to kill a jester. But not Hirobiru. Hirobiru was the intended recipient. They want to kill Hirobiru to break free, to break the control of her from Ankosopa. They put her in a deadlock, and they considered letting her go. So Hirobiru takes off the mind control, and we said we consider, but we considered no. So they proceed to deal the final blow using Ryoga Ise to Hirobiru. But Hirobiru did something, switched with Goma for some reason, and that reason being that Hirobiru before the combat, gets an idea by Rackless that Rackless got from Kaguragi. Rackless wants to take out a jester. He wants to be a jester. So he plants an idea within Hirobiru so that she can suggest Goma to take her place when the final blow was about to be struck. So they switched, and Goma unknowingly switched with her and got struck. And Goma dies. It feels so cathartic to see one of the jesters, for each of the jesters' death. Every time one of the jesters dies, it feels like something has been achieved. It feels so earned. And the catharsis is immeasurable. And the team did the best thing they could have done. No speech, no fanfare. They just huddle up and they did a fist bump. Like they circle up to each other, and they fist bump each other into the circle. It was so hype, and they collapsed because of exhaustion. Ryoga Isen takes a toll for the body of the user. So everyone collapsed. They're in a non-fighting state, except for Gira. Gira, for some reason, still has the capacity to get up and fight the next day. And the next episode gets revealed why that is the case. So Gira is Jesus. Well, technically, Gira is the Antichrist. What that means is Gira is born from Dugdead. So yes, Gira is Heracles' brother. But he was born through Immaculate Conception. Heracles' dad is not Gira's dad. Dugdead is. Dugdead poofed Gira into existence inside Heracles' mom's belly. And because he is part demigod, his growth is accelerated, and his mom died during childbirth in the process because Gira was growing so fast. Because of Gira was made by Dugdead, and the Shoe Gods were made by Dugdead, or part of Dugdead. Gira can be controlled by Dugdead. And this revelation and this moment Dugdad controlled Gira forcibly. He did not want to be controlled. To get into King-Ohger, into the robot, and wreak havoc into Shugodam. Gira doesn't want this, and it shows. It shows the pain Gira's feeling. But through grit and determination, Gira finally breaks free of the control. And that's because of another ploy that gets revealed that Rackless's dad, King Caucus, Caucus Husty, fed Gira his most favorite food. So the thing is, Gira is looking for his favorite food. He's trying to recreate his favorite food, the rainbow jururia. It looks like a jello, a brown jello. It gets revealed to us that rainbow jururia is actually Kuagan's soul. He ate Kuagan's soul in jello form. So that's why he can communicate to the Shu gods. And that's why he has enough power, I think, to break free of Dugdad's control through will and that. And after that, Dugdad cannot control Gira anymore. And also because of this, the Shu god starts to, he can control the Shu gods to resist Dugdad. So after this, the team is still in pretty bad shape except for Gira. And Gira, as a last-ditch effort, Rackless challenges Gira. So Rackless challenges Gira to a final duel, which Dugdad oversees. So Rackless asks Dugdad, "Can I have the power to finally kill Gira? Because Gira is immortal, because he's a part of Dugdad. Can you grant me a power to kill Gira?" Dugdad approved, but only will grant it in the finishing blow. He'll only grant it if you put Gira in a corner for the finishing blow. Rackless accepts, and the duel begins. Rackless had the upper hand in this duel. Rackless won the duel. And when he's about to strike the finishing blow, Dugdad comes in and grants the Ohsama Caliber 0 the power to finally kill gods. And just as he's about to deal the finishing blow, you can see in his eyes the switch, the heel turn. This motherfucker. So, at that moment, Rackless turns. Rackless turns and attacks Dugdad with the sword. Tells Gira to get the fuck up and fight together as brothers. It is revealed to us that Rackless was playing 6D chess, if that's even a thing. He was playing 6D chess, Dungeons and Dragons, and Uno at the same time. The other kings are playing checkers. Gira is playing Chutes and Ladders. Kaguragi is playing 4D chess. And this motherfucker is playing 6D chess, Dungeons and Dragons, and Uno. This man has been playing a part. This man is the OG schemer. This man played everyone. He was playing from the start as a kid, still a kid when his dad died. When his dad died, he was playing a part. He was acting all in hopes to killing Dugdad. Everything that he did, which is next episode is a clip show, but it puts everything in such a perspective. It recontextualized everything that's happened, everything Rackless did. It was all to put the power in the perfect place, in the perfect time, so that he can get to where he is, to get the power to kill God and kill Dugdad. Ever since he was a kid, his dad got killed by Dugdad. His mom got killed by Dugdad through Gira. He never blamed Gira. And it shows. It was hinted on there was something going on with Rackless, because in their first duel where Gira lost, it was a point blank attack finisher by Rackless to Gira, and it didn't fully connect. He pulled back at the last second. It shows it even shows. He didn't want to kill Gira. He never wanted to kill Gira. But the thing is, Gira was such a wild card at Rackless can't anticipate Gira's move. So he had to adapt. That's why I said he was playing 60 chess, Dungeons and Dragons, and Uno at the same time. He needs to adapt to Gira's move, because Gira is the wild card in this. Even Kaguragi has no idea he was being played. That's how much of a player this man is. And he is my favorite character in the series. God, Rackless is such a good character. Even Suzume, Kaguragi's sister, who was played to be married to Rackless during the first arc in a political marriage to strengthen Tofu, but is in actuality an assassination plot for Suzume to kill Rackless. Suzume actually ends up liking Rackless, actually falling in love with Rackless. And Rackless opens up to Suzume about his plan. And Suzume had to keep this a secret from Kaguragi. God, this man is a definition of a high IQ play. This man had a high IQ play. But still, he lost. Everything's open. Everything was revealed. He needs to be stand trial. And Rita sentenced him to death. But after much consideration, the team decides to postpone the execution because they have more use for him alive. Most notably, they need to copy that god-killing power into their Oja calibers. So after Rackless betrays Dugdead, finally betrays Dugdead, the team actually manages to kill Dugdead because they copied the god-killing powers from the Oja caliber 0. And yeah, Dugdead was dead for a bit. But it turns out he has a backup plan in the form of Minogan. So Minogan's power revolved, I think, around age or time, or I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it was hinted during Rita's episode, Idol episode, that something was inside Minogan. And when Dugdead was killed by the King Ogers, Minogan suddenly changes like persona. He actually became more intimidating for an episode. It's revealed inside Minogan there's actually another Dugdead. So it's either Dugdead copied himself, or it's a Dugdead from another reality. It's either of those. That's my conclusion of it. But yeah, Dugdead is back. So to circumvent that, to prevent that from happening again, the team kills. Well, not technically killed, because even Minogan's actually the only jester who's not who's not killed per se. He's the only one who's sealed in a way. He's not perma kinda dead. He's just sealed like Lodi was in the beginning, because I think he has another backup inside. Like, I think my take is there's a lot of Dugdead copies inside of Minogan. So that's why they need him to be sealed, not killed. Because every time, the first time they did that, they killed Minogan. Something came out and it's Dugdead. So during the time before that, there was an age regression episode where Gira, Himeno, Kaguragi and Yanma and Jeremy got age regressed into kids. And for some reason, people from Tofu are built different. So Kaguragi regressed in. So everyone just regressed into like 10-year-olds or 5-year-olds. I think 10, yeah, because the child actor for Gira ends up returning. So yeah, and for some friggin' reason, Kaguragi is a swole ass man at 10-year-old and 10-year-old. Tofu's just built different. What the hell are they feeding their kids there? I mean, it's rice. They're good food. I know. It's good food. But goddamn. It feels like, yeah, Kaguragi is the only responsible one in there. But yeah, after that, Minongan ends up being defeated. But inside of Minongan, there's another Doug Dead. So continuing on, it is revealed further by, I think, Rackless. Yeah, Rackless. From Rackless intel that each of the rulers have their own special set of powers. And it was hinted during Act 1 that, and it was actually, this is actually pretty smart. The first power that was revealed was Rita in Act 1, unknowingly. We did not know that was a specific king power. Not. So it's revealed by Rackless that each of them has their own regalia that contains special powers. So Rita was revealed at the first one to be revealed, actually. And it's kind of fun. It's cool. And they hinted on this being a royal power, but it wasn't revealed officially as a royal power until this arc. And Rita's power is ice. It's the permafrost ceiling, but it also freezes the user along with the victim. But Rita circumvented that with Kaguragi later on. So here's so how they circumvent it. Let me just explain all of their powers beforehand. So Gira's power is the crown, the Shukodam crown that he can use to transform into the King Kuwagata Ohsama form, the king form. I'm just going to refer to that king form. And the command over the God Caucasus Castle. And Yanma's power is to summon electrical storms, like legit lightning storms. And Yanma's regalia is his earrings. Rita's, Himeno's power is legit to reap life. Is to take life, like reap, soul reaping. And her regalia is her crown. Rita's power, as I explained before, is her ice power. Their ice sealing powers, and it's their like hand, their glove, like a jeweled bling out glove thing. And Kaguragi's power is fire. He can summon like legit hell, like I don't know if it's hellfire or not, but fire, really, really hot fire. I'm just gonna refer to them as hellfire. And the power comes from his locket, the royal locket that he has. And it's kind of hinted on, probably, that Hiroki actually used his power to burn all of Tofu's crops. It's hinted on. Because it's just normal color flames, and and you put two and two together, and it feels it just works. So, what's ironic is that also Jeremy's power. Jeremy's power is eternal life, immortality, and the location of his regalia is actually a jewel inside like I think his mom actually implanted the regula inside of his body. It's like a jewel implanted in his chest. So what's surprising is most of their royal powers contradicts what their kingdom is all about. For example, Yanma's power, like I said, is summoning lightning storms. Is summoning lightning, controlling electricity, deadly electricity. And that is and it can destroy technology. It can short circuit technology. Himeno's power, like I said, was soul reaping. It takes life. And her whole kingdom is about life. Is about medicine, saving lives, and it's the opposite of that. And yeah, Tofu's power was used to burn their crops. It's like most of their powers are the inverse of what their kingdom is all about. I don't know if it's I don't know. Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah, their royal power is an inverse to most of their kingdoms. So this arc begins, and we're at the end point of the series, like the few end episodes. So this is the point that they have all they need. They think at first. So at this point, they think they have all that they need to defeat the Jesters and Dugdead. So the format of how this part ends up being as each Jesters are taken out by a pair. The story is focused on the pair, and it's interesting and on who is paired with whom in this part, because Hirubiru, I think, is the one that died the first, and it was cathartic as fuck again. When a Jester dies, it feels cathartic. It's so cathartic. So Hirubiru dies by Gira and Yanma's hand, and her death again has so much. It's so earned. It's very much earned. And then Minongan's death. Well, not death. Okay, not death. Correction. Sealed. He's the only one that's sealed. So Minongan is sealed with the help of Rita, by a joint effort by Rita and Kaguragi, because if Rita uses their powers alone, they would get sealed, essentially, like Haras, like their predecessor. So in order to prevent that, Kaguragi warms them up with his flames. So only Minongan is the one getting sealed. And then the last one is, I think the best one is the last one, because Glody a two-parter, I think. Yeah, Glody's a two-parter. Because so Himeno finds out that her power is solar reaping. So he tries that immediately on Glody, and it doesn't work, because Glody's essentially undead and has no life, has no soul to reap. And Himeno's power only works on living beings, which Glody is not. So to circumvent that, they need to make Glody alive. So to do that, Jeremy actually Jeremy sacrificed his royal power, which is immortality, which eternal life. Yeah, eternal life. Puts the crystal into his venomic shooter and implants it in Glody, and essentially makes Glody alive again. He's now alive. So after that, Glody actually causes a second Wrath of God moment, but he is finally defeated because of the soul reaping. And his death, Glody's death, was such poeticness in it, because Glowdy's whole deal is that he wants to be left alone. He wants to be at peace. He can never die. So he can never die. He wants peace, but he can never die. He wants the silence of death. And the poeticness of his death in this instance is that when he dies and gets taken to Hakabaka, all the souls that he caused to be in there, all the people he's killed, the soul of the people he killed or he caused to die, pesters him, and he does not get his silent rest, his silence. Even in death, he gets tortured by voices, by the spirits of the dead, and it's so perfect, and it is so perfect. He gets what he deserved. He gets what he deserved. And again, the acting was spot on. And the scene after that, when Glowdy is defeated, because the Wrath of God is still happening around Glowdy as this is happening. So essentially, they stop Glowdy and also stop the second Wrath of God event. And they all just huddled up. The team just huddled up to each other and it felt amazing. It felt I just almost teared up at that moment. What made me tear up was the last 3 episodes. The final 3 episodes. So, the final 3 episodes. It opens legit out of Endgame. Why did I say that? Because the opening for episode 48. Oh yeah, the opening of 48 was something else, because the producers, the producer of the series, changed this opening. It's like a minute or so. It's just widescreen. The aspect ratio of this episode changes for this opening scene alone. And there's no music. There's no fanfare. What made it more badass is actually they put like a spin of Jeremy's monologue from the opening, like 3,000 years ago, and blah 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 blah. But they changed it into this is the final part of their battle with Doug Dead. It's cold as fuck. This cold opening was amazing. So Gira is standing. It's amazing. So Gira is just standing on top of a ruin. It's on top of ruins. He's battered. He's bruised. He went through shit. And the others are just out. They're just out. They're down for the count. And Doug is just sitting across. He's sitting. He's pulling a Thanos. Waiting. He's legit waiting. It's like when Tony, Cap, and Thor walks on and see what the fuck is he doing. He's just there, sitting, waiting. Doug is just doing that. He's waiting, like taunting Gira. And then Gira just points his sword and says, "I'm gonna hear you scream." And it cuts. And that was a flash forward. And the episode is just seeing how the hell it came into that. God. So the episode is actually the team conversing and trying to figure out how they need to beat Duck Dead. So in theory, they can essentially combine all their royal powers to power King-Ohger into basically a god. They are basically going to make a Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. They're making King-Ohger into the final mech of Gurren Lagann to beat Doug Dead. That is the theory. But the problem is, because Jeremy sacrifices his royal power, they need to find a replacement. So they won't know when Doug Dead's going to strike, so they made a contingency plan, which is called, I think, Protocol Zero. Yeah, Protocol Zero. So Protocol Zero is essentially an escape plan for the people, for the kingdoms, all the kingdoms, to go on board the God Caucasus, and then went somewhere, maybe just normal Sentai or other place, so that they could live and figure out how to make a replacement for Jeremy's God power, and then come back and use that to beat Doug Dead, essentially. The problem is Doug Dead finally, again, he pulls a Thanos at the end. He's gonna do this himself finally, and just shows up out of nowhere in the throne room, and just, how about I do this now? Like, without warning, Doug Dead shows up, and he pulls a black materia. This motherfucker pulled a Sephiroth. This motherfucker pulled straight up, uses the black materia. This motherfucker pulled a Madara and pulled a Tengai. I'm sorry. And pulled a Tengai Shinsei. This motherfucker pulled a Sephiroth, pulled a Madara, summoned Meteor, Tengai Shinsei, and went through. And it went through. They would be proud. He legit summoned a meteor. He like Thanos in Infinity War, he pulled a moon. That was just levels of insanity. Before that, when Doug Dead shows up, immediate alert, Protocol Zero is underway. So everyone evacuates into a remote place, and they're being led by Rackless. The evacuation team is being led by Rackless, while the Kings hold Doug Dead off. This is when Doug Dead pulls the meteor, summons meteor. Oh god. And that's how the episode essentially ends, with Doug Dead summoning a meteor and Gira being the only one that's up, because he's not essentially a normal human. He has more durability than the others, even Jeremy. And then before episode 49, so each retainer is also on the evacuation team and is told to evacuate with Rackless. And each of them has a backpack that they can only open when they've already evacuated. But curiosity got the better of them, and they open it prematurely. And inside each of their backpacks is a message and their regalias, and each of their kings' regalias, each of their rulers' regalias. And it's basically said they're going to sacrifice themselves and hold the line so that the others can go and find a solution to this problem, so that they can go basically save yourself so that you can fight another day, so that you can be Doug Dead in the future. We're going to hold the line here. And Hamajim, this motherfucker, decides to infiltrate the evacuation team as I'm going to say Shugodam's number one idiot. You know, the guy with the broom that always screams at shit, that's always swaying left to right. Every time a new information, he just switches sides and drop a dime. Yeah. So Kamajim infiltrates the evacuation posing as that guy. And he wants to sabotage the God Caucasus. But the real guy shows up. And how they How they determine who's the real one is simple. Who screams the loudest? Yeah. So okay, this guy screams the loudest, and yeah, also Kamijim's whole thing that everyone that he impersonates, he has a tick that every time his hands like this when he's trying to like the pinky's always up. So we know. So if viewers can see who's the fake one, but the people knows who the real one is by this like literally a shouting contest. Who's the loudest? But then, Rackless and Kamijim starts to duke it out. But then, a portal opens. And who is back? It's fucking ZENRYOKU. Back from the dead. Legit Undertaker style. WWE Undertaker style. You can actually, I feel that you can actually put Undertaker's theme when that portal opens. Like, the bell tolls for thee. He comes up. And basically says, Kamijim, we have unfinished business, you and I. We got unfinished shit. I got some shit to work through with you. And the episode ends. And the episode fucking ends. Sorry for the banging. And 49. The penultimate one. The penultimate one. Like legit. This is Endgame. This episode is Endgame. So Gear's the only one that's functioning at the moment. He tries his best to fight Doug Dead, but he's too weak at this moment. And then he saw the Caucasus shuttle, launching and then gets shot down. So Doug Dead shot the shuttle down. And then he summons a whole reincarnated forces of his troops, even like the body copies of the Jesters. Gero is surrounded. The team is down for a count, except for him. And then, on your left, the people came back. Their retainer came back with Rackless leading the charge. But before that, Kamijim gets thrown into the battlefield. Like legit, he was just thrown there like trash by ZENRYOKU. Picks up Gira and says, "We got shit to deal with here. Basically, we got shit to deal with. Prove that you're a king and deal with this shit. Let's deal with this shit." And the people comes in. And it's just the wide shot, the panning shot of the group lining up. And Gira pulling a cap. Basically, Avengers assembling them. Screaming that. Not essentially screaming. It's just, he's pointing his sword. Just, on me, you dogs of war. And that line is so hard. Went so hard. And it's off to the races. Everyone. And this is what I like about the fight. Not everybody, not all of them can fight. Not all of them can fight. Those who can't fight stay behind and tend to the wounded. Like most of the doctors from Ishibana. The farmers from Tofu, some fight, some help with the wounded. Some citizens from Shugotam help with the wounded. Most of the prisoners fight from Gokon because they're all criminals. And that fight went hard. As a motherfucker. And if not hard, if you didn't think it was hard enough, Devonica shows up from the movie. She shows up to help And it was because of her, ZENRYOKU was back. And if ZENRYOKU wasn't enough, she brought backup. She brought Himeno's parents, Bashimar, the real Bashimar, Karas, Jeremy's mom. Let that sink in. Jeremy's mom and Iroki back to help. And I like this because we know they're not all of them are not going to fight. Like Himeno's mom and dad, Himeno's parents, are back from the dead to help with the wounded. And it's cute seeing Himeno's like, I expected that they're going to have some sort of reunion, like embrace, but no, Himeno's just go do your thing, I'm fine. It feels nice. It feels better that way. It feels like in Himeno's character. I don't want it. No, go do your thing. Go save life. It's nice. And Bashimar, the real Bashimar, reunites with Duga and Raklis, and this is his real Bashimar, the Bashimar that raised him from a kid, Raklis, that raised Raklis from a kid. And the king's, like, what, 2 swords are now reunited, and they wreck shop. Also, Kaguragi's retainer, the Kuroko, I forgot the name. Again, I forgot the Kuroko. I'm going to refer to them as the Kuroko. The Kuroko and Himeno's maid, not Sebastian, maid, who's a badass, start wrecking shit. They beat gesture copies by themselves. And after that, they have an exchange where you fight good. Yeah, you fight good too. So we gonna spar after this, right? Hopefully. Yes. And I am so yes to that idea. I am so yes to that. Oh god. And then Karas and Iroki shows up to help Rita and Kaguragi. So both of them are still indisposed. And they basically said we have a lot of shit to deal with ourselves. We gotta vent. We gotta vent for being dead. And took their Ohsama calibers and they transform. They transform into their respective ranger forms. And Iroki, in particular, became the first black female ranger, which is something. They wreck shop and they wreck shit. Also, Jeremy's mom. Do not forget about Jeremy's mom because she's broken. She soloed a lot of people, even a copy of Glody. It felt effortless with so much grace, and how she came to Jeremy. The creator knows what they're doing. The creator knows. The people who work on the show knows what they're doing. If you know what I mean, that scene. Yes, the ara ara scene. Come to my boobs. Come to my boobs. Yeah, they know what they're doing. Again, Jeremy's mom is broken. Jeremy's mom is broken. And then if that isn't enough, if that wasn't enough as it is, another pearl from Hakabaka opens up. And it's Rhinial. And he took Raklis's Okuger Caliber 0 and did a board wipe. He just pulled slash. He said slash board wipes. Even Raklis screamed, "Everyone get the fuck down if you don't want to die." And he did a board wipe. And he mentioned something about the will of the people is eternal and we're always connects with each other before he and the other people that are dead returns to Hakabaka. And Kira actually has a brain blast moment. An actual brain blast moment, not brain boo. He actually had a brain moment. He actually had a eureka moment. A light bulb turned on inside. And he figured out how to replace Jeremy's power. A workaround. He figured out a workaround. So we get to the final episode. The dead has returned to Hakabaka, except for one. Kamejim. Kamejim is being handled by Jeremy. So before that, they all did their helmetless roll call. The out of suit roll call. And what I like about King-Ohger's roll call is they don't refer to themselves in this case as the Kuwagara Ohger or Papillon Ohger or Tonbo Ohger. They are the kings. They are kings. They are rulers. So they refer to themselves in a royal way. And I like that. And behind them are each of their respective peoples. And I like that. And so the final battle begins. And 5 of them, with the minus of Jeremy, yeah. I forgot. One person also returns. The best boy during this endgame battle, Garojim. Garojim, the kind, soft Ragnarok, kicks ass in this episode. Okay, so back onto the final episode. Gira, Yanma, Himeno, Kaguragi, and Rita goes off to Dugdead, while for a bit Jeremy goes into to handle Kamejim, but is substituted by Rackless, so Jeremy can help the others fight Dugdead. So the thing is, Rackless ends up defeating, not essentially defeating, pushing Kamejim back, but but Deathnarok comes in and beats the shit out of Kamejim, but not kill him. But he did not kill Kamejim. As the portal Hakabaka is closing, Deathnarok drags Kamejim, who is still alive, by the way, into Hakabaka. And basically said, your punishment is not yet ended. I'm gonna kill you forever, and you're gonna die forever. And repeat. Be alive again. Die again. So, essentially, by doing that, Deathnarok essentially Gold Experience Requiem Kamejim's ass. And in there, he meets Glody. I don't know if... And it feels like it's teasing something, maybe for the Dawn Brothers crossover or the Kyoryuger crossover, but who knows? The point is, he got Gold Experience for Requiem by Deathnarok. And then, the final showdown begins. So, everyone Ryoga and went into Dugdead. Keeps pushing him into a corner. Keeps pushing him. While the hackers and the inventors figure out how to make a new container. Okay, so they keep pushing Dugdead. And he finally has had enough. And goes celestial size, essentially. Yeah, like anti-spiral celestial size, like a whole giant universe size. And he wants to squish everything. But finally, Gira figures out what to fill the vessel like the final vessel for Jeremy's replacement power is the will of the people, the soul of the people. And the people give their souls to fill this container, to power up. I forgot the Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann name for God King-Ohger. Like extreme heavenly whatnot. But yeah, you get the point. It's Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. And they managed to finally do it, and it's Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. And God King-Ohger, in this case, it's just God King-Ohger. But it became so big, as big as Doug Dead. And essentially, they're so big, they went into Doug Dead's lair. Doug Dead's lair is basically the size of a whole universe. You can even see the fucking source wall. And they went to that size. And they duke it out. At first, Doug Dead has the upper hand, but the Shoe Gods finally gained control of sentience. They finally rebelled themselves against Doug Dead. And they went legit on fire. They burned themselves and punched. And again, this is Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann final episode. God King-Ohger burns up, sheds his skin into Extreme King-Ohger, sheds his skin into Legend King-Ohger, and then back into Base King-Ohger. Like Gurren Lagann from Tengen Toppa to Ultimate, like Gurren Lagann, and then third form, second form, back into Gurren Lagann, and then he just throws Lagann, and this is the Lagann moment, like right here. So Base King-Ohger strikes down while on fire. The Shoe Gods are killing themselves, basically sacrificing themselves to kill Doug Dead. And they managed to depower Doug Dead so much, he went back into normal human size. And the team did a joint final blow, finally cracking Doug Dead's shell, like the thing on his head that contains his actual body, the tardigrade body. Finally kills it. He finally kills Doug Dead. The team just walks back, and they share their own way of celebrating. It's not bombastic, just Gira and Jeremy just fist bumping each other. Himeno and Yanma high-fiving. And Kaguragi and Rita fist bumping. And they got welcomed back by all of their people. Gira gets lifted up. Everyone gets lifted up. Case has now returned to Chikyu. And the epilogue starts. So the epilogue starts, and everyone is now sharing their cultures. We see Rita's like law establishment in Kosopa. Tofu people are being taught computers by people from Nkosopa. Ishabana is trying to make healthier food with the help of tofu, and so on. And we see Jeremy leaving his kingdom and basically telling us to write our own story, and left the Venomic shooter in, I think, in the throne room. So basically, and leaving it into Girajim's hand. And each of them seems like they're going on a journey, like the number one idiot and all the few people from each nation, including Shugodam, are going aboard the God Caucasus, I think, to go travel with the kings leading them, with the rulers leading them. And everyone holds up. They're going to henshin, they're going to transform. And Gira still, the awkward guy, like not awkward, but Gira's still Gira. Like everyone, he's trying to look cool, but then gets pushed like the first time they do a group transform. Gira gets pushed, get kicked down, and Gira's trying to transform, looking cool, and then Gira, and follows up. The last shot is Gira going Ogai Biso, and the series ends. And then we got a clip for the crossovers: King-Ohger versus Dawn Brother and King-Ohger versus Kyoryuger. I'm not going to talk about the preview into detail, but essentially the King-Ohger one and the King-Ohger Dawn Brother one, the Dawn Brother kills the King-Ohger, which is it's Dawn Brothers, so it makes sense. Of course they would. Of course they would. And for the King-Ohger Kyoryuger crossover, it seems like it's a time travel story because King like Daigo Kiryu and Uchi is back in this, and Kyoryu Violet, the female one, the current one, is back, and it seems like time shenanigans are afoot because we see Gira now as like he became Death Rock, or he became the new Doug Dead, and Yanma is now a nerd. Himeno is like what, and everyone's different. Everyone's different now. So I guess it's like a time travel thing or an alternate universe thing. But also Prince is back. And yes, everyone's getting a new power up. Like Gira, Don Momotaro, King are getting new power ups. And yeah, so King-Ohger has ended. This show is an epic. This show to me personally, this show, King-Ohger, has elevated Sentai to a new level. This show feels like legit quality television. This doesn't feel like a kid show. This doesn't feel like a kid show at all. I mean, it still has like kid show like toys moments, but the level of quality feels like you're watching high level of television. Like I don't know if I can put into words. Like this is quality television. This is quality television, and this is wow. This might be even hard for me to say, but this might be one of my favorite Sentai, like in the top 5. Like Zenkai, like Reiwa hasn't missed, dude. I mean, yeah, I like Kira Major, but it's not like the peak television. But if you like Kira Major so much, I mean, seems like the Japanese people do, because how much Yodona special are they making? Like 4? Or they just love Yodona. Say what you will about Kira Major, but it wasn't bad. It was good. It wasn't perfect, not near perfect, it was good. It was good. It was great. Reiwa hasn't missed. And God, Boom Booger has a lot of like massive, even more massive than I'm not trying to compare it to Rider at the time of its airing. I'm not trying to compare with Geats, because Geats was also great. Like I said in my first impressions for Gotchart has a lot of it has some big shoes to fill because Geats was so good. This is also the case, but the whole is much bigger, I think, with King-Ohger. Because god damn, King-Ohger was trending on Twitter days after days. Even Senchan, Deca Green's actor, tweeted, and it actually got approved. The final 3 episodes, he basically said, when are we because of the quality of the final 3 episodes, he basically tweeted, when are we getting the director cuts, the DC, the director cut version of this episodes, the final 3. Give me the director cuts. And by popular demand, because of that tweet, they're gonna give us the director cut version of the final 3 episodes, crammed into one long episode. Thank you, Senchan. And yeah, this show is epic in every sense of the word. And I actually can't compare this to Zenkai. This show is a different beast. Every Sentai feels like a different beast unto itself. Zenkai is pure comedy. It's like it's funny. It's very lighthearted and very comedic. Dawn Brothers is also good, but it's like a chaotic storm of good. King-Ohger feels very well put together. Very well written. I'm not saying the other two Reiwa eras are not. They are good. They're very good in their own way, and this is too. But this feels like it elevated the playing field. King-Ohger did something different. The level, the standard quality of it. This is the gold standard now. Like this, if you want to make a series, like legit series, this is the gold standard. Like, if you want to make a zany series, Dawn Brothers is the gold standard. If you want to make a good comedic series, like Zenkai is the gold standard. But if you want to make a good story, plot-driven, character-focused Sentai, King-Ohger is the gold standard. King-Ohger has reached that place, that pinnacle, to me. That's why I try to refer King-Ohger as peak Ohger. This series is peak in every sense of the word. And I am excited for what's to come with the crossover, especially with the Dawn Brothers one. We know what they're capable of. We know what Inoue is capable of. Right? I think Inoue is writing that. No, or not. Or is it King-Ohger writer? But regardless, we know what the Dawn Brothers are capable of. We know what they can do. And the teasers we saw them in Hakabaka. So this might be the reason. This might be how they bring back Taro's essentially boyfriend. Taro's boy. So yeah. I can't give it a rating. It's just peak. This series just peak. This series is just peak. So yeah. That's my review for King-Ohger. That's how I feel. How I felt about King-Ohger. That's what King-Ohger made me feel. Please tell me what you guys feel about. How do you guys feel about King-Ohger? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you feel that I'm blowing out of proportion? I'm blowing it out of proportion, maybe. But everyone's entitled to their own opinion. And to me, King-Ohger is peak. And yeah. Tell me in the comments. How did you enjoy King-Ohger? Did you like it or not? And also, kind of give me a recommendation of what should I do next on my other videos, because mostly it's just toku things and game walkthroughs. I'm trying to do a live stream, but it's still a long way to go. Okay. So yeah, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Follow me on all the things. Like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. Every little thing helps. Thank you for tuning all this time. I'm Federa Asterisk. See you next time, and I'm signing off. Bye.